Firstly, I'd like to thank you for joining the company. We take a lot of pride in our employees, and we have a lot of employees that take a lot of pride in working here. You guys, a lot of times, are the only face of the company that our clients get to see, and you guys are our best advertising that we have. You're our best asset that we have. We can't operate the company without you guys. We understand that, and we hope that your career is very beneficial to you and to us for a long period of time. We hope that you enjoy the company culture and get involved with the various safety initiatives, the programs, the projects. We're big proponents of the team effort. It's not a us versus them culture. It's not your supervisor's not on a pedestal where you can't talk to them. You know, we take your safety as important as we take our own safety.
It was a cold fall day just before Christmas, and I received a phone call about 11 o'clock in the morning that we had had a terrible, tragic accident. Tim Ebert's a close friend, long-term employee of Kelsey. He had died that day, that moment, unloading a side boom off a trailer, and the tracks slipped and rolled over and killed him instantly. It still bothers us today, and it's something that is tough to get past, and we want to make sure that we never have to make that phone call again. That's the point of safety and safety regulations and improving our safety standards. We have to work together because there's no amount of documentation or paperwork that you can sign that's going to keep you safe out there. We all have to be responsible for ourselves and responsible for the people that we're working with.
Kelsey wants to make sure that all their employees make it home safely to their families. Kelsey has a firm belief in meeting or exceeding the Occupational Health and Safety Act and regulations. Everyone is responsible for safety within Kelsey Pipelines. They're responsible for their safety and the safety of others. This includes the owners, managers, supervisors, and the workers themselves, which also includes the Occupational Health and Safety Committee. If an employee is unsure or they simply have a question, the employee should take a proactive approach to safety. Dealing with a question or concern now can prevent a possible injury in the future. Kelsey Pipelines has the organizational chart for safety to inform all employees at Kelsey Pipelines who they can report to for safety concerns. It also shows everyone's involvement in the safety program and how the information will travel within the company. When an employee needs to address a safety issue, they should immediately report the safety issue to their supervisor. The supervisor will follow the organizational chart for safety if it cannot be dealt with and corrected at their level.
If you have a question, if you don't understand a specific task or something you've never done before, I can't stress the importance of going and asking.
All workers have three main rights. Their first right is the right to know. They have the right to know the hazards that they will face at work, how to identify them, and how to protect themselves. Every worker has the right to participate in the making of occupational health and safety decisions in consultation with committees, representatives, and fellow workers. Last of all, workers have the right to refuse work that they believe is unusually dangerous.
The most dangerous thing that occurs in any work, in any job in Canada, is travel on the highway to and from the job site or your workplace. So don't ever take driving or traveling or using a vehicle on a job site lightly. Make sure the vehicle is ready to go somewhere, you're alert, put your seatbelt on, and keep your mind on the task.
Only approved Kelsey employees are allowed to operate vehicles, and only Kelsey employees are allowed to be passengers. Operators must follow all traffic laws and site-specific traffic rules. Vehicles must be kept clean inside and out. All vehicles have GPS tracking, which monitors vehicles' locations, speeds, and how long they'll be running. If a Kelsey vehicle exceeds a set speed limit, a report is sent to the office for review.
Even if it's not a posted speed limit, a lot of the places that we're driving are pipeline right-of-ways, grid roads, icy roads, rough roads, remote roads. You don't drive 100 kilometers an hour. Sometimes you're lucky to drive 10 kilometers an hour.
Kelsey Pipeline's equipment rules, there are many. Some of the basic rules and policies are to make eye contact with the operator when you need to travel near the equipment. Always utilize 3-point contact when mounting and dismounting the equipment. Operators must perform their equipment checks, inspections, before utilizing the equipment, and keep the cabs clean at all times. Just like our vehicles, all our equipment has GPS tracking.
And at the end of the day, if you're keeping the cab clean, checking the fluids, doing the inspections, maintaining the equipment the best that you can, and still working safely and hard all day is the expectation. When you're parking the equipment, we expect it to be parked straight. If it's got tracks, shovel the tracks.
Well, when it comes down to pipe handling, that's a very dangerous part of what we do. That's where you need experience. You have to look towards the older guys that have done it most of their life. They know where the center points of the picks are. They know how the pipe's going to react when it's cut. They know how it's going to react when it's lowered in, because the pipe can get away on you. And once it does, you can't get it back.
When it comes to stringing pipe, every job is different. The terrain is always different. But at the end of the day, each time we string pipe, the supervisor or the stringing foreman will have everybody sign on to the JHA, or the Job Hazard Assessment. You'll be given one task. You need to understand that there's trucks on the right-of-way, there's heavy equipment on the right-of-way, there's vehicles, there's a lot of moving people and a lot of moving equipment out there, and you need to take your job seriously, do it well, do it safely, and don't move around into different areas that you don't understand or you don't have line of sight with some of the operators. Please be safe when you're doing that. Do a good job, but do a safe job.
When it comes to lifting and rigging, all rigging and components must be inspected before they're sent to site, and then again inspected before they're put into use. Rigging needs to be stored correctly to minimize unnecessary wear. One worker will be designated the signaler, and only this worker is allowed to signal the boom or crane operator. Never under any circumstance stand under the load, and always be aware of pinching points. Only competently trained operators are allowed to perform lifting and rigging. As there is many rules and regulations, a worker must know before performing lifting and rigging operation.
Well, with my experience in the industry, lifting and rigging is part of the biggest problems that we have in pipeline industry with slings and cabling. Sometimes the younger guys, they're not experienced enough, or they don't have the knowledge to look at slings and rigging and say something. So we rely on the older guys that have lots of experience. And I think the way to mitigate a lot of that is to get everybody to work together, look out for each other, where the older guys are mentoring younger guys and the younger guys are looking up to the older guys, because there's a reason that they have experience. And there's a reason that they're still alive on the job site, because it's a very, very dangerous thing that we do. Don't ever be afraid to look for help. And that usually comes in the form of a little gray hair and somebody that's out there with lots of experience that you can ask always.
Many times you'll see during the course of any project that we do, for the most part, you'll see deliveries of heavy equipment come and go from each job site, where we're getting equipment delivered or perhaps getting equipment hauled away. This is a very dangerous task, as many of you know. The policies around that are quite simple. So unless you're asked to help, just keep a safe distance away. If the truck operator or the supervisor directs you to help, make sure you know that you don't ever stand beside the trailer. Okay, stay a safe distance away from any moving equipment. If your help is required, ask for clear direction on what's required. What you need to understand is, on any piece of heavy equipment or a heavy truck, there's many blind spots where the operator doesn't see you. Ensure that the operator has your line of vision. In other words, make sure you can see his eyes. If you can see his eyes, he can see your eyes. Give a quick wave, and you're going to reduce the chance of accident greatly.
When it comes to safe trenching rules and policies, as with all jobs to be performed, employees must be competently trained to perform excavating and trenching. There are many regulations that must be followed when performing this duty. It starts with a call to Sask 1 or to the appropriate authority to locate underground cables and pipes if necessary. An emergency response plan and trained personnel in CPR and first aid must be on site before work even commences. These are a few things that must be in place before we start trenching. When we do start, soil piles must be 1 meter from the edge of the excavating to minimize the possibility of falling debris. Workers must be trained in H2S gas as there is a possibility of it being released during excavation. Working in a trench is a confined space. Our workers will be trained in recognizing the signs of potential cave-ins. These are only a few hazards that workers will face when excavating and trenching.
Your supervisor needs to okay anybody to go in or out of the trench. There has to be an access and egress from each trench. You don't want to stand around the edge of it. You want to really understand and get comfortable with each excavation is different. Doesn't matter where you are in the world, no two excavations will be the same. So don't get too comfortable with, I was in one bell hole 2 days ago on the same job and this one should be the same. Everyone's different, the soil type is different, the digging conditions, the weather's different, the depths are different. So take each one seriously. Look for the foreman or the supervisor to give you an okay. I'll go in there and do that. They will have evaluated it and know that it's safe to enter to do your task.
I just want to express to everybody that I'm a very, very proud Canadian pipeliner, and I'm proud to call myself a professional. And we want everybody to join our team with that same sort of mentality, to be the pride in the industry, because that's what we strive for every day. And with your help, everybody's help, we can achieve that and achieve it safely.